What if the fix for your afternoon energy crash isn't a supplement, a special diet, or an hour in the gym, but a walk shorter than a bathroom break? 2 minutes. That's the whole ask. And it can flatten the blood sugar spike from a meal more than almost anything else you could do in that moment. Here's the strange part. Your muscles have a hidden shortcut that lets them pull sugar out of your blood without even asking insulin for help. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening inside your body when you use that shortcut. And you'll learn the one timing mistake that quietly erases the whole benefit a mistake almost everyone makes without ever knowing it. Let's be honest about how most meals actually feel. You eat something normal, a burrito, a bowl of pasta, a couple slices of pizza, and within half an hour, the crash hits. Your brain gets foggy, your eyes get heavy, you suddenly want a nap or a cookie, and sometimes both at once. That feeling isn't random, and it isn't a character flaw. It's your blood sugar shooting up and then dropping fast. A spike, followed by the crash. Here's why this matters right now, not in 20 years. Those spikes and crashes aren't only about your mood and energy today. Repeated over months and years, big swings in blood sugar slowly wear down the system that keeps your cells listening to insulin. That's the same system standing between you and type 2 diabetes. But you have far more control over those spikes than anyone ever told you. And the tool is almost insultingly simple. Stick with me, because the second you understand the mechanism, you'll never look at just sitting down after dinner the same way again. Let's start where the whole thing begins the moment food actually enters your system. You eat carbohydrates. Bread, rice, fruit, potatoes, sugar, it doesn't matter which. Your body breaks all of them down into one simple thing: glucose. Glucose is just sugar floating in your blood. It's fuel. In small, steady amounts, it's exactly what your cells want in order to run. But your blood can only safely hold a tiny amount at any given moment. Picture roughly a teaspoon of sugar spread across your entire bloodstream. That's it. Now think about how much sugar is really in a large soda or a big plate of pasta. Suddenly the flood is far bigger than the container, so your body scrambles to clear it out fast. And that's where insulin walks onto the stage. Insulin is a hormone your pancreas releases in response to that flood. The simplest way to picture it is as a key. That key travels out to your muscle and fat cells, unlocks their doors, and lets glucose move out of your blood and inside the cells where it belongs. Spike goes up, insulin comes out, sugar gets tucked away, spike comes back down. When it all works smoothly, you barely notice it happening. But here's the part nobody tells you. What you do in the 10 minutes right after eating decides how hard insulin has to work. Sit down immediately, and you've handed insulin the entire job with zero backup. It has to do everything, alone, every single time. Do that meal after meal, year after year, and something quietly breaks. Your cells stop responding to the key. They stop opening the door. That's insulin resistance, and it's the slow, silent start of most of the metabolic problems you've ever heard a doctor warn about. So here's the real question, the one this whole video hangs on. Is there another way to get sugar out of your blood, one that doesn't need insulin at all? There is, and your body has been sitting on it your entire life. Now here's the mechanism. And it might be my favorite fact in all of human metabolism. Your muscle cells are covered in tiny doors. Scientists call them GLUT4 transporters, but you can just think of them as little gates for sugar. These gates are how glucose actually gets out of your blood and into the muscle. Normally, insulin is the thing that tells them to open. But here's the twist. There's a second trigger for those exact same gates, and it has absolutely nothing to do with insulin. When a muscle contracts, when you simply move it, the contraction itself sends those gates rushing up to the surface. The muscle grabs sugar directly. Read that one more time, because it's the entire point of this video. Moving your muscles clears sugar from your blood without insulin. No key needed. No pancreas straining. The back door swings open on its own the second the muscle starts working. And this is exactly why walking after a meal is so powerful. Your legs hold the biggest muscles in your body, and they're hungry for fuel. Take even a slow, easy stroll, and thousands of those gates fly open across your thighs, calves, and glutes all at once. They start pulling glucose straight out of the flood and burning it for the gentle movement you're doing right that second. In plain terms, your muscles turn into a sponge. They soak up the extra sugar before it ever gets a chance to pile up and spike. And here's the number that surprised researchers. You don't need a workout for this. As little as 2 to 5 minutes of light walking does it. In studies, that tiny amount of walking clearly lowered the blood sugar response compared to sitting still after the very same meal. Standing helped a little. Walking helped a lot more. 2 minutes. Not 20. Not a spin class. Not a single drop of sweat required. And notice what that means for you, because this runs on muscle contraction, not fitness level. It works even if you're completely out of shape. Those gates don't check your resume. They don't care about your age or your mile time. They just respond when the muscle moves. But hold on, because here's where most people trip and lose the entire benefit. Timing. Those 2 minutes only work inside one specific window. Walk at the wrong time, and you basically walked for nothing. So let's talk about the window almost everyone gets wrong. Here's the thing about your blood sugar spike. It isn't instant, and it isn't permanent. It behaves like a wave. After a meal, glucose climbs, peaks somewhere around 30 to 90 minutes later, and then slowly comes back down. Up, over, and down. Your job is simple. Be moving while that wave is rising, not before it starts, and not long after it's already crashed. So picture the two classic mistakes, because you've probably made both without even realizing it. Mistake 1. You take your walk before you eat, then sit down for the meal. It feels healthy, but you've got the order backwards. You spent your muscle sponge effect on an empty stomach. Then you parked yourself in a chair right as the real flood rolled in. Mistake 2. You wait too long. You finish lunch, get pulled into a call or an email, and finally get up 2 hours later. By then, the wave already came and went. The sugar's been stored. Your walk is still nice for you, but it missed the entire spike. So where's the sweet spot? Start moving within about 30 minutes of your last bite, and honestly, sooner is even better than that. Some of the strongest results show up when you start within 5 to 15 minutes of finishing, right as the glucose begins to climb, which means the whole strategy fits into 3 tiny words. Eat, then move. And this is why the couch is the real villain of this story. Not in a lazy, motivational poster way, in a mechanical, physical way. Sitting the instant you finish eating is the single move that lets the spike run completely unchecked, from bottom to top. You're taking your biggest metabolic tool, the huge muscles in your legs, and switching them off at the exact moment you need them most. So if you forget everything else in this video, remember this. The walk isn't the hard part. The timing is the whole game. Now let me answer the question you might be quietly thinking. So what if my blood sugar spikes a little? Why bother fighting it? Because it was never really about a single spike. It's about the pattern that builds up over hundreds and thousands of meals. Every big, sharp spike comes with a matching crash on the back end. That crash is the fog, the sudden hunger, the craving for something sweet. Flatten the spike, and you flatten that crash right along with it. Steadier sugar means steadier energy and fewer cravings on the exact same food. That's a payoff you can actually feel that same afternoon. But zoom out, and the deeper reward is even bigger. Those repeated sharp spikes force your pancreas to pump out big surges of insulin over and over all day long. And that constant demand is part of what slowly pushes your cells toward ignoring insulin in the first place. The very thing we're trying to avoid. Smoother glucose means your pancreas isn't slamming the gas pedal every couple of hours. You're protecting the whole system for the long haul. And here's a detail I genuinely love. Because your muscles pull sugar in without insulin, that little walk takes real pressure off your pancreas. You're literally doing part of insulin's job for it. Do that regularly, and you help keep your cells sensitive and responsive for years. Let me put a real feel on the size of this. In several walking studies, that gentle post-meal stroll meaningfully blunted the spike, and it came from movement so easy you could hold a full conversation the entire time. No gym clothes, no heavy breathing, nothing dramatic. Now flip it the other way. When you sit after a meal, you're not choosing neutral. You're choosing the biggest version of that spike. Doing nothing isn't free here. It has a cost. It just happens to be a cost you can't see until years down the road. One honest note, because this matters. The goal is to flatten spikes, not to erase blood sugar. Glucose isn't the enemy, it's your fuel. This isn't about fearing carbs or feeling guilty about food. It's about smoothing the waves so they don't grind you down over time. And here's a real safety point. If you take insulin or blood sugar lowering medication, movement can drop your glucose more than you expect. That's usually good news, but talk to your doctor first so you can adjust the timing and dose safely and never dip too low. Now here's where it gets genuinely practical and where I get to bust one last myth for you. You do not have to be perfect at this. You might think it only counts if you walk after every single meal, flawlessly forever. Not true. Your metabolism doesn't keep a scorecard. Researchers even have a nickname for these tiny movement breaks. They call them exercise snacks, little bites of activity sprinkled through your day. And the beautiful part is that they stack. A short walk after breakfast, another after lunch, another after dinner. It all adds up fast. That's around 6 minutes total, and yet it can move your average blood sugar across the whole day more than one long workout you crush at 6 a.m. And then sit still for the next 14 hours. Why? Because glucose control isn't about one heroic effort. It's about not sitting still during the exact windows when sugar is flooding in. 3 meals, 3 floods, 3 simple chances to open that back door and let your muscles do the quiet work for you. And this reframes exercise in a way I find genuinely freeing. You've been told movement only counts when it's long, hard, and drenched in sweat. For blood sugar, that's just not how the biology works. Those muscle gates don't check whether you're impressed with yourself. They respond to any contraction at all, which means the bar is almost comically low. Pace around your living room while you're on a phone call. That already counts. Walk to the mailbox and take the long way back. Do the dishes standing and moving instead of collapsing straight onto the couch. Take one flight of stairs. Even standing up and shifting your weight side to side beats sitting there like a statue. And remember that couch I keep warning you about? Here's the full picture now. Sitting still after a meal doesn't just fail to help you. It actively strips away your best tool at the worst possible moment and hands the spike a clear, open runway to climb as high as it wants. So even trading 5 minutes of sitting for 5 minutes of gentle puttering around the house is a real, measurable win for your blood sugar. You don't have to earn this with suffering. You just have to stand up and then not sit right back down. So how do you actually put this to work, starting with your very next meal? Let me give you the simple version. First, after each meal, don't sit. Before you drop onto the couch or slide back into your chair, put 2 minutes on the clock and move. Around the block, around the office, around your living room, the location genuinely doesn't matter. Only the movement does. Second, mind the window. Aim to start within about 15 to 30 minutes of your last bite while that sugar wave is still rising. Sooner is better. And if you can only manage it once a day, make it after your biggest, most carb-heavy meal. For most of us, that's dinner, the one we're most likely to follow with hours on the couch. Third, keep it easy. This is not a workout, and treating it like one misses the point. A relaxed, conversational pace is plenty to flip those muscle gates on. Gentle and consistent beats intense and rare every single time. You're not trying to burn calories here, you're just trying to move sugar. Fourth, stack it onto something you already do. Take your phone call while walking. Stroll after dinner with someone you actually like. Attach the new habit to an old one, and you'll never have to rely on willpower or remembering. And one last time, if you're on medication or ever feel shaky or dizzy, check with your doctor and see how movement affects you personally. 2 minutes after meals. Easy pace. That's the entire protocol. So here's the one thing I want you to walk away with, pun absolutely intended. Your muscles can pull sugar out of your blood without insulin, just by contracting. That's the hidden back door. And a 2-minute walk in the right window is the simplest way on earth to open it. Not a supplement, not a punishing diet, just gentle movement, timed right while the wave is rising. If this changed the way you think about that after dinner slump, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who've been told it all has to be complicated. And subscribe if you want the science made this simple every week. Because next, I'm breaking down exactly what happens inside your body during a 16-hour fast, hour by hour, and you are not going to want to miss what kicks in around hour 4. I'll see you there.